In a peaceful village surrounded by golden fields and whispering winds lived a young boy named Ahil. He was known for his curious eyes, quiet nature, and a heart that always searched for meaning in the smallest things. Ahil often wondered why some people left deep impressions on others, even after they were gone. His grandmother used to tell him, "Beta, every good deed leaves a footprint, even if no one sees it immediately." But Ahil never truly understood what she meant. One cool morning, the sky brighter than usual, Ahil left home early to walk by the riverside. The soft mud with dew still fresh made the ground look like a blank page waiting to be written on. As he walked barefoot, he noticed his own footprints forming behind him. Each step pressed deeply into the earth. He paused and looked back, watching how the marks slowly faded as the sun warmed the mud. Curious, he dipped his feet in the cool water and stepped again on the bank. This time, the footprints were clearer, sharper. He thought about how easily they appeared and how easily they vanished. "Are all footprints like this?" he whispered to himself. Just then, he saw an old man struggling to pull his small cart filled with firewood. The wheels were stuck in the soft ground. The man's hands trembled with effort, sweat glistening on his forehead. Ahil rushed toward him without thinking. "Let me help," he said softly. Together, they pushed until the cart rolled freely onto the firm path. Relief washed over the old man's face, and he blessed Ahil with a trembling smile. "Thank you, my child. May you always walk a path that leaves goodness behind." Ahil smiled shyly and walked away, unaware that this simple act was the beginning of something bigger. Later that day, as he returned home, he found freshly baked bread placed at his door. A small note lay on top, "A little thank you for your kindness." Ahil's eyes widened. He hadn't expected anything in return. The warmth of the gesture touched him deeply. For the first time, he felt what his grandmother meant. Maybe good deeds didn't disappear like footprints in the mud. Maybe they grew into something else. The next morning, something strange happened. When Ahil reached the village square, he saw two boys helping a blind man cross the road. He overheard one of them whispering, "I saw Ahil helping that old wood seller yesterday. If he can help, so can we." Ahil's heart fluttered with a strange mix of pride and humility. Without saying a word, his one act had inspired others. Days passed. One small act followed another like ripples forming circles in a pond. Someone shared water with a thirsty traveler. Someone paid for a poor woman's medicine. Someone fixed a broken fence for a widow who lived alone. It seemed as if kindness had begun to travel on its own feet, touching person after person. But the real test came on a stormy night. The wind howled through the village, bending trees and shaking windows. Rain poured down relentlessly, turning streets to rivers. In the midst of the chaos, a loud cry echoed through the storm. A house near the edge of the village had caught fire, lightning had struck its roof. Ahil ran toward it without hesitation. Flames licked the walls, smoke rising thick and dangerous. A little girl stood outside screaming, "My brother! My brother is inside!" Before anyone could stop him, Ahil covered his face with a wet cloth and dashed into the burning house. Inside, heat wrapped around him like a fierce hand. He could barely see through the smoke, but he followed the faint sound of coughing. A small boy huddled under a table, terrified. Ahil grabbed him, shielding him with his own body as he searched for a way out. The roof creaked dangerously above them. Using every bit of strength, he pushed a fallen beam aside and stumbled toward the door. Just as the house collapsed behind them, Ahil burst out into the rain, the child safe in his arms. People cheered and cried at the same time. The little girl hugged her brother tightly, tears mixing with the rain. The boy, trembling but safe, whispered, "You saved me." Ahil shook his head gently. "Anyone would have done it," he said, though deep down he knew that wasn't always true. The next morning, the storm had passed, but something more beautiful remained. The villagers gathered around Ahil's home, bringing food, warm blankets, and gratitude. But the most meaningful gift was something completely unexpected. The old village chief stepped forward and said, "Ahil, you have reminded us of something we had forgotten, that kindness is not measured by wealth, age, or strength. It is measured by the courage to care. Your actions have left footprints across this village, footprints no rain can wash away." Ahil felt his eyes sting with tears. He looked around at the faces he had grown up with, faces now lit with compassion, unity, and gratitude. It was then he realized that goodness did not fade like footprints in mud. Goodness created footprints in hearts, footprints that guided others long after the moment had passed. Weeks later, while walking by the river again, Ahil saw his reflection in the water. He smiled, remembering how it all began with one simple act. As he stepped onto the soft bank, he looked at his footprints once more. This time, he didn't watch them disappear. Instead, he imagined them glowing, shining with every good deed he had done, and every good deed he had inspired. He whispered softly, "These are the footprints that matter, the ones that stay." The wind carried his words gently across the river, as if agreeing with him. And somewhere in the distance, a child helped an old woman cross a path. Someone shared their food with the poor. Someone forgave a forgotten wrong. And unknowingly, they all followed the footprints that Ahil had left behind. Thus, in that small village, goodness continued to spread, not loudly, not forcefully, but quietly, gently, like footprints that touch the earth and hearts at the same time. And from that day on, people would say, "Wherever Ahil walks, kindness follows." Because the greatest footprints are not the ones on the ground, they are the ones we leave in the world through every act of goodness.